Greetings, my name is Tom Mueller and I work for Oracle as a member of the GlassFish development team. Today I'm going to be showing you the monitoring scripting feature that is part of Oracle GlassFish Server 3.1. This is an add-on feature that is only available with the Oracle version of GlassFish. The monitoring scripting feature provides the ability to write scripts based on monitoring probes that are triggered as a request is processed by the GlassFish application server. In GlassFish 3.1, the scripting feature has been extended to work with the clustering feature. In this demo, we'll create a 2-instance cluster and show how scripts operate within the cluster. To begin the demo, let's go ahead and install the GlassFish software. I've already downloaded the Oracle GlassFish Server zip file, so we'll run the unzip program to install the software. So now we have our GlassFish 3 directory and right there, and we'll go ahead and start the domain. To get the DAS running. So that takes a few seconds, and we'll create a cluster with 2 instances. I'm going to call my cluster C1, a real simple cluster name, and then we'll create 2 instances that are running on the same host as the DAS. So we'll use create local instance so that the instance is created on this host, and tell the system that we want the cluster to be part of we want the instance to be part of cluster C1. Note that ports have automatically been assigned, and specifically the HTTP listener port is on 28080. And then we'll create instance 2, and this one's HTTP listener port is 28081. Right, and let's go ahead then and start the cluster. The start cluster command causes both instances to be started, and it'll return when that's all running. Okay, now let's look at the script that we're going to run. I have the first script in a file called script.js. And this is a JavaScript script. That's the language for writing monitoring scripts. We define a function called request start event. It's going to take a host name and an app name. And what it's going to do is count the number of times that it gets called. That's what the nStarts variable is for. And then it's going to print a message that request start event was called on the app name, and print out the number of times that it's been called. Then to set up, so that's the method that's going to be called when the event is triggered. Now to request that this method actually gets called on that event, we create an array containing the names of the parameters that we want passed to our method, the host name and the app name. And we call script container.registerListener on the name of the event. So that's GlassFish Web HTTP Service Request Start Event. This is an event that's triggered whenever the processing on a request is started. We pass in the params that we want, and then we pass in the name of our method, request start event, that's going to be called. So that's our simple script. Let's look at this. Where did we get this probe name from? Well, there's a command called list probes, asadmin list probes, that will list all of the probes that are available in the server. So you can see there are quite a few here. Let's see. We can just look at how many. There are 136 different probes that are available. And if we look at the details of a probe, let's look at the HTTP service request start event probe. And whoops, it should be details. The option is the details option. And we get a man page for this probe. It says here are the arguments that are available from the probe. So you can, in that array that we created, we could have requested any of these. Gives the description of when the probe is fired and what the parameters are. So let's go ahead and run our script now. So the command for doing that is called run script, and we're going to specify a target of the cluster with the name of the script. So this will cause the script to be run on each instance within the cluster. So when the script starts up, it tells us which instances it's listing on. So it's listening on I1 and I2, and we're now ready to go. We're listening for events. So we need to trigger some events to make this happen. So I'm going to just use the wget command. Here I've saved a wget command that calls HTTP localhost 80, let's go to the first one, 80.280.80. So we went and retrieved the index.html page, and notice that we got a request start event called. And then we can go to 81, and we get another one. Notice this one came from I2 rather than I1, so it tells us where the output is coming from our script. We can go back and do 80 again, and we see that that number is getting incremented, the count of the number of times. If we go to the DAS, which is listening on port 80, notice that it does not trigger an event because the script is not running on the DAS. It's only running on the instances. Okay, so we've run our first script. So let's run a little more complicated script. I have another one here called timeit. Okay, so here's the timeit script, and it registers 2 events. We're only going to ask for the app name for this one. Again, we do the request start event, and what this is going to do is it's going to get the start time by grabbing the time and storing it on using the thread ID of the request as a key, and then we register the request start event, and then we'll have an end event that will grab the thread of the key and grab the start timeout. We just check an error check here to see if it's really there, and if we then calculate the total time that the request took and print that out. So this is just a quick script that can time how long each request takes to process. So we'll run that script on the cluster. Run script target C1 timeit. It's running, and now we'll trigger the script. And you can see at time that it took 2 milliseconds. I also printed out the thread where it executed. We can run it again. It still takes 2 milliseconds. We'll run it on the other host. Pretty consistent. Takes 2 milliseconds. But you can imagine how you could analyze a whole variety of different behaviors within your application by writing scripts that use these various probes to monitor your application. So this has just been a brief introduction to the run script feature that's available in Oracle GlassFish Server 3.1. Thanks for listening.